Hey everyone, and welcome to BeamNG.drive. Today's video, I will be showing at least part of my mod pack, everything I've done so far. I plan on doing quite a bit more, and it used to have more in it, but my paint jobs that I had kind of broke in one of the recent updates when they added the the built-in paint job thingy, the decal manager or editor or whatever. And also really quick, ignore the winches. That's the SP winch mod, not my mod. I was just a little too lazy to pull them off for this video, so yeah, ignore the winches. Either way, I've taken, or pulled out, I should say, a vanilla version of each of the vehicles. That actually needs a bit of a lift. And then a version with the mods on them. I'm going to start with the hopper first. Oh, okay. So, this is the completely vanilla hopper, just with my little suspension tuning and selected parts. You can see in the bottom right here, it has open or locked differentials, and then it has the basic normal inline 6 in it, carbureted inline 6. Nothing great about this one. Stock, fun to drive, but kinda gutless. And then oh yeah, thankfully I noticed this, and then I also made it so the off-road coilovers can be painted with, which one is it, palette 3 I believe it is. So you can see the ones on the other hopper are red, whereas these ones are kind of like a dark bronzy gold. So, what I'm going to start with is, first of all, I recommend having headphones on. This might be loud, so I'm going to honk the horn really quick so you can kind of adjust your volume. Okay, so normal inline 6 with the normal exhaust sounds like this. Kind of normal, just a 6,000 RPM rev limit. And then as I mentioned, it has this one's got the 6-speed manual, yep, and then open or locked differentials. If I go to this one, as I mentioned before, it has the different colored coils and whatnot. This one also has neon, so I will turn that on. See? And then I've done a little bit of engine work. But before I get to that, you can see in the bottom right corner, once again, how the differential icons have a little X in them. This has locking limited slip differentials instead of locking or open. So when you're just driving around, or in general, you have better traction, and you don't need blockers quite as much when you're off-road. And then you can just lock them as normal or go to open. Now, I'm going to start this one. This is one of the main differences with this one. Starter's a bit louder, exhaust is a bit louder, a bit deeper, and it revs to 7,000 RPM rather than 6,000. You also might notice that the tachometer on the right, the red line is at 7,000 instead of 6,000. So I'll give it a little rev so we can hear it. You can kind of hear it kind of like burbly or backfiring a little bit. This one will backfire. Like so. And what I did with this is, aside from the coilovers and the differentials, the neon, I opens the door, hood, took the normal V6. This is still the normal, or inline 6, not V6. I'm trying to do engine swaps, but I can't get them to work quite properly. So I took the normal carbureted inline 6 and did some editing to it. So we've got my inline 6, and then my ECU, my internals, exhaust, and carburetor, and then my 6-speed automatic. Normally the hopper does not have a 6-speed automatic. So the 6-speed automatic isn't all that amazing. It has, I believe, the same gear ratios as the 6-speed race gearbox does by default. However, you've got your normal park, reverse, neutral, but then it goes 1, 2, and then drive. This is somewhat a reverse manual valve body. Instead of drive 1, 2, it goes 1, 2, drive. This is so that when you're off-roading and stuff, if you're going up rocks or a hill or something and you start to roll over backwards, you can quickly just drop it into neutral or hit reverse and back down so you don't roll over. It's just so you can use the lower gears closer to reverse and neutral easier. And then in racing scenarios, you'd use this so you can go 1, 2 drive without shoving the gearbox into reverse by accident. So, the engine, not sure if I mentioned this, I don't think so. The engine overall is roughly 25% more powerful and stronger than before. So, it will now actually do a little burnout, like so. And it's just a little bit nicer to drive. It actually gets up to speed decently. It has that extra little bit of power that it needs for going up hills and so on. And if you want, it can handle a little bit more nitrous than before. So I will go back to the auto shop and then show the other thing that I added on. So yeah, the other one would not be doing almost 80 already. It's so much slower. But I did it in a way that it feels proper. And then of course with my tuning, it loves to pick up the front wheel. Oops, back up. Okay, and then the next thing that I did, back up, is I added the TPMS box, or Tire Pressure Management System. That is down here, just kind of slow down the camera. That is just down here tucked into the center console, nice and out of the way. And what this does is allows you to change the tire pressure on the fly. So if we look at the tires, you can kind of see how they're nice and rounded. They're not really flat on the bottom or anything. If I go back inside, turn on the front and back, we're just under 30 psi of air pressure. If I drop this down to 0, you can see everything dropping as I do this. The entire thing is going down. If I go back out, you can now see that it is quite flat on the bottom because there's no more air pressure in the tires. Instead of having to go into the settings every time you want to adjust the tire pressure and reset everything and blah blah blah, you know what I mean? It's so much nicer to just click a couple buttons, drop your air pressure, go over the few obstacles, and then raise it back up again. And then I believe that's it for the hopper, aside from the paint job that makes it look like a little Jeep. Not sure if the paint job will be in the mod pack or not, because like I said, they're kind of broken for some reason for me, and they don't like to load properly most of the time. But other than that, that's it for the hopper at the moment. I'm working on removing the panels from the cage, I'm working on adding an antenna and a few other things, and some other lights. So, next is the D series. I haven't done nearly as much to this, but as you can see, stock D series, nothing all that amazing on it. It has the V8 with a supercharger, and the belt is in the wrong spot. They need to move the pulley for the supercharger back, apparently. And then nothing too special. Same open or locked diffs kind of thing. Nothing all that great. If we go over to this one, you can see once again, it has the X in it, so it has LSD or locked differentials. Once again, just ignore the winch. I haven't done anything engine-wise with this one, but I have added neon to this one as well. So that's differentials, neon, and then I've added the TPMS to this as well. It works on the early and late dashboard, however, for the late dashboard, yeah, just neon in there. For the late dashboard, you have to swap out the normal dashboard for mine. All I did was add in the accessories again, so that it can take accessories, whereas normally the late dashboards can't. And then I believe that's really it for this. It has the same paintable coils and whatnot as the hopper, but this isn't the, that might be a different color. But this isn't the off-road version, so I can't really show that. Yeah. I don't think that's going to affect those coils. So, that's it for the D series. Pretty simple stuff, just a couple things that make it a bit nicer to drive. I don't think I did a gearbox for this one. Let me look really quick. Pick up, dashboard. No, I did not do a engine or anything else for gearbox or anything for this one. The Roamer and the van also have the differentials. I'm working on putting the TPMS in them still, and I'm still working on the neon for them. And then they will all pretty much be at all the Geforce series things, truck, chassis things, vehicles, whatever, will pretty much be all the same. Next, we have the Blue Buck, which all I've done is edit the hydraulics. So, if we lift the back of the normal one, I'll just lift the whole thing, might as well. It's kind of slow, and doesn't go very high. The stock one isn't the greatest for hopping. I'll do a little hop, I guess. Come on, camera, cooperate. There we go. Stock, it's not very great for hopping. Gets the job done, but it's not the greatest. So I will apparently not lift this up again because it might be broken. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that's the stock Blue Buck. All I've done with mine is adjust the hydraulics, like I mentioned. I made the stuff in the trunk the weight it should be, or a lot closer to what it should be, rather than like 100 or some odd pounds, 100 or 200 pounds. It's a lot heavier, as it should be. I stiffened the rear springs and shocks, I think. I stiffened a couple things in the back and in the front. So, if you go like this, and I changed the limits as well. So it should ride a tiny bit lower than normal. It goes up a little bit faster. And it goes up way higher. Basically as far as the suspension will allow it. And then, pop it, and get the timing right, it will actually hit the back bumper. But it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get it to actually hit the bumper. Come on. I was working on these mods on my old computer, but I don't have it anymore, so I had to restart everything, so it's not quite the same as It used to be a lot easier to hit the rear bumper, but you could tell at that one point it almost hit the rear bumper. So yeah, just in general, much better hydraulics on it. And it will actually three-wheel now. Come on. Cooperate. It still doesn't like to, as you can tell. But there we go. But it will. It'll actually three-wheel now. Next is the ETK. This is the ETK 800, and then I did the same for the ETK C series. I did a video on this a long time ago when I did this. You could see my other paint jobs and this thing in the background of that video. But the only thing I've done with this so far is I've made a custom ECU for it. So you can see the tack on the right stops at, 7600? That's not the right vehicle. I should be on foot doing this. This one stops at 10,000. I've upped the RPM limit as high as it'll go. And then I changed the efficiencies a little bit. It's kind of pointless to go up to 10,000. It loses power way before that, but it's fun. Who doesn't like revving a V8 to 10,000 RPM? Doesn't sound the greatest in this because it's a video game and they're just using audio samples. But there you go. 10,000 RPM V8. And then as you can tell, pretty much anything over 8 to 9 is kind of useless. Like even doing donuts, it doesn't hit 10,000, so. But it's got a little bit more power and way more RPM. And that's a barrel. Oops. I'll just park this now. Alright, last but not least is the Arata, which I mentioned in my video earlier this week. I have put a sequential 6-speed in this. I hate CVT. Well, I don't hate it. I really don't like it. Unfortunately, with putting a different J-beam, even though I pretty much just copied it over, it took the case off in between the engine and the gearbox, what the pulleys would be. But whatever. CVT, continuously variable transmission, I believe it stands for, is pretty much just 2 cones and a belt. So you have your starting range and an end range, but it can hit any ratio in between there. And it is super efficient. Side-by-sides use it, a lot of passenger cars use them now, and snowmobiles tend to use them. But I don't like it. It sounds weird, it's typically not as strong, and overall it just sounds really weird. So, I just put a simple 6-speed sequential in this. Figured out what gear ratios I wanted. It might be adjustable. Is it adjustable? Did I make it adjustable? Ooh, it is. So it's even adjustable. So you can choose whatever gear ratios you want. This looks like the gear ratios for a Focus. So basically it's a 6-speed sequential with the gear ratios of a Focus now. So instead of just sounding weird, it actually sounds and drives normally. So for people that like to drive sporty or fast like I do, it's not as weird now. And it backfires every time you shift, which is kind of fun. Uh-oh. Who doesn't want a side-by-side that spits fires at the back every time you shift gears? and it still has pretty much the same range as the CVT, but it's just so much more fun this way. And feels so much better to drive with a sequential in it rather than the CVT. It's basically taking a sports bike gearbox instead of the CVT. And it can do donuts and stuff a lot easier now too, because it's not trying to change gears or change the ratio as it's going. So yeah, that's basically it for my mod pack so far. I'm hoping I'll upload it sooner than later, but as I said, there's still a few things that I want to get working, like putting an antenna on the hopper and just a couple other things. So if you have any ideas or tips or tricks, let me know. Because like I said, there are a few things that I just simply can't get working, like modeling in Blender. I just can't do yet for some reason. I've been trying for years and I just can't get it, even with tutorials. So if you have any good tutorials that you've used, let me know. It'd be very, very helpful. And then if there's something you think I should do that isn't just kind of weird, but actually makes sense, like most of these mods do, something that actually helps improve driving quality, let me know and I'll see if I can stick it in. But aside from that, hopefully I get this out soon, and as usual, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.